Boom. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. And look, we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch, you can always pick us up on the stream. And we appreciate that. If you haven't already, why not get on X and give me a follow at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. The phone number to the program is still 601-879-0002. And the text line is open, 601-879-5060. Today is Monday, the 5th of January, 2026. And the mission at the show is still the same. It's to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You are the saints. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. And if that isn't true, I don't know what is. I mean, it's, January 5th. This is when everybody really starts getting involved in their New Year's resolutions and everything. But I don't necessarily believe in New Year's resolutions. You are not known by your resolutions or goals. You are known by your habits. What are your habits? I know for me, I'm looking at my resolutions that I used to make in the past and the goals that I would set. And ultimately, I would hit 3 or 4 out of them, but I'd have like 12, and it was like 25% success rate. And now certainly as I move into this different season of life for me, I have to really kind of recalibrate or recage what I wanna do. And one of the things that I was talking to people about was going ahead and getting a new computer set up, and I did. And wow, people are calling in already. So let's go ahead and just get on here, and here we go. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Man, what's going on?
Well, we've got Iran, we've got Venezuela, we got Minnesota. I don't know what we're going to talk about today.
Woo! I don't know. Such a fertile field of information. Yes.
Yep.
Well, my New Year's resolution is to call the gas man every day.
That's all right. I like that.
Just some reflection here. Then I'm going to ask you a question. These media people have obviously forgotten about Gaddafi. They've forgotten about Noriega. They've forgotten the fact that Obama dropped bombs. Even Clinton dropped bombs. And, of course, Bush had his share of extractions out of Panama. This is entirely within the right of the president to do this under any circumstance you look at. They just can't stand it because he's having one win after the other. There's winning and winning and winning.
Yep.
Now, question to you. With your military background, and when you reflect upon this operation, I'm going to give you a multiple choice answer. The Chinese and the Russians are looking and saying, A, wow, we couldn't do that. B, no surprises here. We knew they had this capability. Or C, somewhere in between.
I would circle 2 answers, A and B. The Chinese and the Russians know the capabilities of our military. They have spies inside the military-industrial complex, and as soon as we build a F-22, they're trying to steal it. As soon as we build a B-2, they're trying to steal that. As soon as we build a B-21, they're trying to steal that. They're trying to steal the F-35. So they know our capabilities. But then they also said, wow, because no one expected the United States to go in and do an operation like this in our own hemisphere. This is projecting strength in the Western Hemisphere in a way that we really never had done it in my lifetime. We did have that Nicaragua situation with Noriega, but that Panama situation. But the whole thing is that it's been so long since we've actually seen our power projected ashore inside our own hemisphere. It's definitely sending a message, and it's not just to the Russians and to the Chinese, but it's also to Mexico and Colombia and all of these other narco-terrorist states that are out there. And look, we love Mexico. We appreciate them. But we also have to understand that right now they are completely infested with drugs and narco-terrorism, and we've got to go ahead and be able to take them out, because ultimately that's where all these drugs are coming into America. I was reading, and I'll let you get in here in a second, but I was reading that we've lost more people to drugs in America than we have in all of our wars from 1900 to present, and it's just we're losing more Americans there than we are in combat, and it's a problem, and we have to seriously address it.
Which leads me to my next insight.
Mm-hmm.
The drugs, the child trafficking, all of this dark business here. The reason these senators and these representatives are so upset about this, dude, Trump is cutting off the money train.
Yep.
These people are involved in this stuff, and they know that the money flow is about to be interrupted because Trump has found the source. This is how these people are getting filthy rich. This is dark money. This money is being circulated. These pockets of these senators and these elected officials are being lined. And if you can cut off this supply of money, suddenly they don't have the resources they did at one time. And I am thoroughly convinced these people are just as dirty as Noriega. They're just as dirty as Gaddafi. They're just as dirty because they are complicit, A, and B, most of them are getting paid off to look the other way.
Yep.
Your response.
You probably saw some of the same stuff I saw floating around, and I'll just address it right now. The Venezuelan general who announced all the kickback schemes coming out of Venezuela to specific U.S. senators, and I immediately tried to start tracking that down to see where it came from, and I can't find a validated source to say that, yep, these people were definitely on it, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and it's not there yet, or it's not happening. We just don't have the smoking gun yet, if you will. But when that smoking gun happens, that's when you're going to see a lot of the heads really start to roll, per se, politically speaking. We're not wishing death or ill on anybody. And, this is ultimately coming back to Pam Bondi and the DOJ. Great. They're rolling in Maduro and his wife into the New York jail or to the New York courtroom today. Will they actually get a conviction in a New York court? I seriously doubt it, but hey, that's where it's going to happen. We need to start seeing governors getting perp walked, senators getting perp walked, congressmen getting perp walked for all of this stuff that they've sacrificed the American citizen for their own personal gain. How's that for an answer?
No doubt, no doubt. Well, you've got a lot to go through today, and I had one more point. Golly, Moses, my mind runs from one point to the next as we go through this information. Doggone it, it's making me mad. I can't remember. I had everything written down, but it's such a fertile field of information. No doubt, it's hard to decide where to start first. But I think these people, if they are exposed, and I hope they get exposed, because the hammer of justice needs to fall on some of these people because they've been getting away with this for a long time. You don't stay in office this many consecutive terms if you're not taking money or being supported from outside sources. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yep, I'm with you, brother. Well, I appreciate the call, my friend, and I look forward to talking to you early and often in the new year.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep. I always appreciate calls like that. It's really awesome. It's really special. Hey, dude, if you wouldn't mind, send me a text on the text line 601-879-5060 and just shoot me a text real quick. I want to make sure I have you locked in. And so let's get going on. We've got Iran to talk about. We've got Venezuela to talk about it. But and that just seems to be the soup du jour for the day. But I am really focused on the homeland and what's happening here, specifically culturally. WYAB, neither Chip nor Clay nor myself nor Lindsay and Sean nor Kim are afraid to touch the third rail, which is the culture rot that is spreading all throughout all of our cultures, whether it be the Black community, the white community, Asian community to a lesser extent, the Indian community. We've got to talk about this. And it's absolutely fascinating to me what is happening. But where I wanted to go before I took that first phone call is that one of my deals was that I was going to get a new computer so I could do all the video editing and all the soundbite editing at home. Didn't have to come into the station. And that happened. And over the weekend, I was able to produce 10 unique clips that I've always wanted to share with you, the listening audience, but I couldn't do it because they were always cussing, and I didn't have the ability to cut out the cuss words. Well, we've got that now, and I'm really excited because as this show moves into 2026, we're going to do a lot of new things, whether it be on Fridays, the Founding Fathers Friday segment, where we talk about a founding father that you didn't really know. If you didn't catch the Founding Father Friday from last week when Blake Bartlam was guest hosting the show, had Shad White in on the station, absolutely awesome. He did a great job. 17-year old hosting the radio station, running the board, did a fantastic job. Did a fantastic job. And people are worried about the future of America. Well, I am worried because I do believe we are in a war right now. You might not necessarily see it, or maybe you do. Maybe you're one of those people who are really perceptive, but the mainstream media doesn't see it. The Democrat normies don't see it, and we have to address this. But when we've got people like Blake Bartlam out there, who's out there moving and grooving, doing his good stuff that he's doing, it's just absolutely incredible, and the future is bright. There are a lot of great things happening, but that was one of the things that I did over Christmas holiday, got my new computer, and, I'm excited for that. I guess let's in the last couple minutes here, I don't wanna spend too much time on Iran. I don't wanna spend too much time on Venezuela because everybody's talking about that, and I wanna make the Andrew Gosser show unique and different. You tune into Andrew Gosser, you're gonna hear different takes on issues that you might have already heard about and put it in a different context, a different light. But with Iran, I think it's great that they're having an uprising. I am very distrustful of anything that's coming out of Iran because I know how the IRGC works, and, it there's lots of misinformation, and look, they're not afraid that government is not afraid. Now, I know that the new Shah is coming in, and they're saying that all these great things are happening, and that's great, and we support the people of Iran. The beautiful culture, beautiful people. If you go back and look at the Iranian culture before the Islamic takeover, you will see that they were very modernized, very, very civilized, incredible scientists, incredible technology. And what happened? Islam took over the country and ran it into the ground, just like Islam took over France and is running it into the ground, just like Islam has taken over Great Britain and running it into the ground, just like the Somalis have taken over Minneapolis, Seattle, Dearborn, and Columbus, Ohio, Dearborn, Michigan, and Columbus, Ohio, and they're running it into the ground. Do you see the pattern here? Do you see what's happening here? The wolf is at the door. And what's really scary is as we break this down, you are gonna see that this is unlike a fight that anybody has ever had to actually fight before, that America has ever had to fight before. This fight has been fought throughout the centuries, and we'll go into that, we'll delve into that. But we are up against our first commercial break. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We talked about Iran. Venezuela, you heard Clay play the article from CBS News, Face the Nation, where or not Senator, Secretary Marco Rubio just laid out the presenter. You can tell she was listening to talking points in her ear. They have absolutely no individual thought. They have no individual idea. They have to be told what to do by their overseers and overlords. We don't need that kind of journalism. We need the kind of independent news journalism that Nick Shirley gave us in the Somali scandal, the kind of independent journalism that James O'Keefe gives us. And you know what? There just might be someone like you who's out there who wants to get involved with this. There's plenty of stuff to do right here in Mississippi. And, will you get the same type of notoriety as one of a Nick Shirley or a James O'Keefe? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be done. And as these stories get exposed more and more, you are going to see the population actually unite, and you're going to see this big overarching suppression of whether you want to call it a one world government, new world order, whatever you want to call it. Everybody feels it. They're not sure what to call it, but we all feel the suppression. And it's absolutely breathtaking to watch how America and the world react to this. And look, we're going to have a lot of time to talk about Venezuela, but I really want to get into the Somalia stuff because I genuinely believe that this is the place where we are going to have the biggest impact. So, like I said, I think I've got 10 different clips on here, and I just want to start going through them one at a time. And some of it I have a lot more to comment on. There are parts of it that I have a lot less, but without further ado, let's get into it.
80,000 Somalis sent to Minnesota so they could vote in Ilhan Omar. That's how it was set up. Do you know that
Well, hold on just a second here. Apparently, the volume is turned down way too low, and I want to get this right. So, with that being said, let's try this one more time. And in 3, 2, 1.
80,000 Somalis sent to Minnesota so they could vote in Ilhan Omar. That's how it was set up. Do you know that they are inbred so much that their IQ is between 60 and 80?
I thought that was ridiculous. So I asked Gronk, and there is no definitive study done within the past 5 years. The last test that was done was in 2019, but the average Somali IQ was, I believe, 78. 78. And the Somali custom, it's not uncommon for them to marry first cousins, second cousins, or even closer. So this lady is not wrong. She might be a little bit off with some of her numbers, but to say that there's not a problem with inbreeding there, she is correct.
If y'all don't get y'all fraudulent scamming, cross-eyed, big four-headed, ancestral up out of here. We know you married your brother. Take y'all illegal scamming on.
And she is right. And do you hear the anger in this woman's voice? Do you hear how upset she is? Because you know who this is affecting? Clay's said it for a long time. I've said it for a long time. Kim said it for a long time. It's hurting the Black community. And this is what, quite frankly, brings me hope. Because the truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a problem between the whites and the blacks, or the blacks and the whites, or the Indians and the whites, the Indians and the blacks. This is a problem between the political class who uses the government to manipulate laws and bills and laws that get put into power, that end up taking money away from us and giving it to people who don't deserve it.
Get out. I'm on my way to Minnesota. I'm on my way to ask you questions. You didn't want to say nothing to the white boy that was asking. You wanted to threaten the white boy, but I bet you won't threaten me.
And this is really interesting to me because this woman is now fired up and she sees it. She sees the intimidation that was attempted to be used on Nick Shirley, who did an absolutely fantastic job. We played the interview last week where Nick Shirley had that guy. He started off really nice, but he got his voice louder and louder and started cussing and doing all that kind of stuff. It, she sees it, and I'm sure that she is definitely one of these people who's going to go out there and do some of her own investigation.
I bet you won't tell me to go. I bet I won't. Let's go to Minnesota. Let me call my brother and my best friend, and let's start a TV show. Let's go around to all these places and figure out what the is going on. I'm already in Dearborn. Let's start there first. Those need to go to.
And she is absolutely spot on. And I am telling you, when I read this or I saw this, I was just like, this is incredible. I do not have this lady's name. I pulled it off I think it was Eagleman's X account, but that's where I got this video from. And I would have never been able to bring this to you just a week ago because I didn't have the capability. But everybody is starting to wake up. I don't know if this was on the 2026 bingo card. I certainly didn't expect the first week of the new year in 2026 to have a successful attack on the country of Venezuela, where we went in and got a dictator out of office and have him successfully being arraigned and indicted this morning in New York, which is absolutely incredible. They perp walked him, and maybe this is like the test run to see how we're going to do everything for these senators and congressmen and governors who are in complete disarray. Speaking of the governor of Minnesota, he just had a meeting yesterday with Amy Klobuchar, and it broke this morning. Clay Edwards broke it on WYAB. I was reading it too, but he's not running for re-election. And he was running for re-election as of Friday. He was out there. He was not going to stand down. And Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota basically had a one-on-one with him and said, "Mr. Waltz, you need to go." And I haven't talked to my friend Patricia up in Minnesota. She's a GOP chairman up there. I haven't got her opinion on this yet, but they were trying to get him to step down. And I'm not sure that Minnesota is going to be able to put in a good governor who's going to go in and be able to start cleaning Minnesota up. We'll see. Because Republicans never have enough to get over the line because of Minneapolis and St. Paul. The demographic just isn't there. But these communities are starting to wake up, and they're starting to see how they're having their resources taken away from them and given to people who don't even belong here legally. Let's take another phone call. Go ahead. You're on the air.
I just want to start off by saying him not running for re-election is not a win. It's not a win at all. It's not a bunt. It's not a trade-off. It's nothing. He deserves to go to jail or at least be investigated the way that Trump was, or that any one of us was, or any J6er or anything else. There were billions of dollars stolen. Billions. Don't let me be off $50 on my tax stuff and see what they do to me,
brother.
He was off billions.
I would argue it's not even billions, it's trillions. If you go back to 2019 and you count in all the states, it's going to be trillions of dollars. And,
I understand that. But what I'm saying is resignations don't cut it for me. You walking off into the sunset with your whatever, billions, trillions, millions, whatever, walking off into the sunset, and, oh, okay, I give up my power, yada, yada. That don't cut it.
Yeah.
You need chains and shackles.
And just like I was saying with the last caller, and I believe I said this on the Clay Edwards show too, it's not enough just for a resignation. And maybe I misspoke and said that wrong. He's not resigning. He's just not running for re-election. But that's not.
Well, I understand. No, you didn't say that. I said that. What I'm getting at is it doesn't matter whether it's a resignation or I'm not running anymore. Mm-hmm. You don't get to just fall off into the sunset. That's not how this works.
I'm in 100% agreement with you. Just because you resign doesn't mean that you're still not held legally accountable for the actions that you committed, whether that be Governor Waltz, whether that be Congressman Omar, whoever it is.
And it's judges too. Don't let the judges slide. They just because you're a judge doesn't make you immune to the system. And I'm glad for Venezuela, and I'm glad for Iran. I'm glad they're standing up. I'm glad for all these different countries, and let's free the world. That's great. But what about us? Can we do us first? Can we do us now?
Well, over the next hour and a half on the Andrew Gosser Show, you are going to hear some inspiration, because I believe that America is starting to coalesce around this. They're starting to coalesce around what Trump has been trying to do, and how the Democrats have used the judiciary to try to stop him from doing the stuff he needs to do. You know, you heard the last caller, Richard, talk about how, we were talking about these U.S. senators who are supposedly getting kickbacks from Venezuela. I can't confirm that yet, so I'm not going to say it over the radio, but I'm telling you, if this story pans out, you are going to have re-elections all across the United States, because these congressmen and senators will have been taking bribes from a terrorist narco state. And we're just going to have to go ahead and prosecute them and claim our republic back, because if we don't, we're going to lose it.
All right. Well, let me ask you your advice on this, or your opinion. How can you take it back whenever, say some AG finally grows a pair and arrests somebody, presses charges on them, just like in Minnesota, they arrested the one guy for fraud on several $1 million of stuff. The jury found him guilty, and then the judge is like, you know what? We're just going to dismiss this. What do you do about the judges?
So there is a clause in the Congress, and the president has the ability to defund those judges. There is ways for the Congress to impeach those judges, and they should be impeached. Now, is it going to happen with this Congress? No. But I genuinely believe there is so much of a population out there who is so sick and tired of being ran over by elected politicians that they want to change that out. But the other part of this too, brother, and after this, I'm going to have to take a break. But the other part of this too is we can't focus on the big picture. We have to maintain it and stay informed, but we've got to worry about our own backyards, the local judges who are doing the local shady deals, the local prosecutors who aren't doing the prosecutions. We have much more impact there, and all it takes is one, and the dominoes are going to start falling. And I hope that answers your question. Did it do that?
Absolutely. I just hope everybody wakes up, because I feel like we're losing this country faster than we realize.
Oh, we are losing it, but I am seeing good signs of stuff, and maybe it's just like Thomas Paine said. Every once in a while, you have to water the tree of life with a little bit of water or a little bit of blood of both enemies and patriots. It's just how it works.
Well, you're having a great show. Continue on.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will take our next break. And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show. This is breaking right now. Senator Mark Kelly and 5 other members of Congress, and this is coming from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Senator Mark Kelly and 5 other members of Congress released a reckless and seditious video that was clearly intended to undermine good order and good military discipline. As a retired U.S. Navy captain who is still receiving a military pension, Captain Kelly knows he's still accountable for military justice. I told you, I'm sorry to do a see I told you so, but I told you he was in trouble. He was in trouble. Therefore, in response to Senator Mark Kelly's seditious statements and his pattern of reckless misconduct, the Department of War is taking administrative action against Captain Mark Kelly, retired, United States Navy retired. He's getting a reduction in his retired pay grade, resulting in corresponding reduction in his retired pay. To ensure this action, the Secretary of War has also issued a formal letter of censure, which outlines the totality of Captain, for now, Kelly's reckless misconduct. The censure is a necessary process step and will be placed in Captain Kelly's official and permanent military personnel file. Talk about shooting yourself in the face. Absolutely terrible. Captain Kelly has been provided notice of the basis for this action and has 30 days to submit a formal response. The retirement grade determination process is directed by Secretary Hegseth and will be completed within 45 days. So we don't know what his reduction in rank is, but everybody who was saying he has a First Amendment right, he does, but he also has to live under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. If you've never been in the military, you can say all this craziness you want to say. But for now, Captain Mark Kelly, United States Navy, retired, had an additional responsibility, an additional duty. People look at his rank. He's one rank below an admiral. He had a responsibility. He should have known better. And I know he knew better. I didn't think that he thought that President Trump would have rolled over and that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth would have rolled over. No. And I can already see the liberals out there. This is going to have a chilling effect upon the veterans of America. Well, if you're just a veteran, not a military retiree, well, then you get to go out and go say what you want to say. But as a retired officer with a paycheck, it's very different. And it's not like they're putting a gun to our head. No one made us enlist in the Navy and then have a full career. No one made me enlist. No one made me decide to go from E to O and retire. I loved it. I wish I could have stayed in longer. I genuinely loved it. I wish I wouldn't have got sick, but it is what it is. And I'm grateful and thankful that I had almost 21 years. It was awesome. But this is just breaking, and it's always nice when the radio host makes a prediction and it comes true. It just builds credibility to what we're trying to build here at the Andrew Gosser Show. But I want to continue. Here is another young Black man who is talking about what he went through with respect to the Somali immigration plan and how it's affecting him.
Loud and clear. We don't care that Somalians are being deported. They're not our concern. See, I don't have no hate for nobody, right? But I do understand that we have groups over here or groups that aspire to come to America that don't like Black Americans. Because, see, we the great people of society. So when they come over here, they already have some type of disdain towards us, and we ain't did nothing to these people. See, I've been to Minnesota.
This is what I'm going to say. I'm glad this brother is saying what he's saying, but I would also say that's what a lot of white people feel like too. We realize slavery happened. I don't know anybody who's condoned it or agreed with it, but all of a sudden we get looked at like we're the bad guy in all of this. And America was the first country that actually fought a war and outlawed it. And that's why we have the 14th Amendment. That's why people who were brought here against their will, and it's wrong and it's evil, and it should have never happened, but it did. And that's why we have the 14th Amendment, to make sure that at least they get all the rights and protections of the United States of America that their ancestors didn't get when they were dragged over here. That's just the most blatant way to say it. But and is there racism out there? Sure, we all know it. We all see it. You might not always see it, but it's out there and it exists. But to sit there and say that all white people this or all black people that, and he's starting to see it too. Let me back up just a little bit. Here we go.
And we ain't did nothing to these people. See, I've been to Minnesota. And when I was in Minnesota visiting my son, because he live up there, man, these Somalians are everywhere and they rude. They act like you not there. When you speak to them, they look at you like you foreign. And I'm like, man, you in my country. Why you looking all stank? So get them out, Trump. Yeah, get them.
And we need to get them out. And I am so grateful and I am so thankful to my friends, brothers, and sisters who are in the black community who are starting to see this. And it's okay to speak out against this. You are not in the minority. You are not in the wrong. A majority of Americans, as this fraud continues to develop and be exposed for what it is, no thanks to ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MS Now / BS Always, or even Fox. And I want to actually talk about something here, and this is coming from NBC. They like to talk about how there's been over 90 indictments and over 60 prosecutions. That's all from 2022. Nothing that Nick Shirley exposed last year at the end of 2025 has been prosecuted yet. None of that. And you have the mainstream media trying to lay cover for what's going on, and it's wrong. NBC News is wrong. I'm glad to hear CBS is taking a change. And if CBS actually does change and start doing good work, we'll talk about it here on the radio show. But I'm not trusting them farther than I can throw them. And even if they do start getting stuff right, I'm still going to have a heavy dose of skepticism that that ever comes from CBS News. Maybe my ancestors going forward, not my ancestors, my descendants going forward will have more trust in the mainstream media. But as far as I'm concerned, anything coming, and this includes Fox News, by the way. This does not include News Nation, Newsmax, or the independent journalists. I really appreciate them. But anything coming from the mainstream media and major cable news, get rid of it. One American Network, OAN. They are despised so much that the cable companies won't even allow them to be carried because their journalism is so raw and is so unfiltered, and they're equal opportunity haters. And that's what we need. We need people who are not out there, who are not afraid to go ahead and call it like they see it. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. We got to take our next break. We will be right back. Hey, we're on a commercial break.
Yeah. Did I hear you say you was in the military?
Yes, sir.
How long you served?
Almost 21 years.
21 years?
Not quite.
How old are you?
I'm 53.
53?
Yes.
Man, you sound young.
I got a lot of tread off the tire, my friend.
Oh, man. I was kind of confused. You didn't sound. Let me ask you a question. When you was in the military and you were on base,
Did you have to pay $200 a month for your meals?
If I was on Comrades, I did. If I wasn't on Comrades, then no, I didn't.
Well, that's kind of unfair with the day's troops having to pay that much money if they eat at the commissary or not.
I wouldn't know about it because when I lived on base, when I was a young airman basic and all that, I didn't have to pay anything.
Young Airman Base, was you based in Jackson?
Nope. Hey,
Oh.
brother, can we have this conversation on the air? I'm in the middle of a commercial break.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, would that be okay? Yeah, welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. Had a great call during the commercial break asking about my military service, and I love talking about the military service. I didn't mind talking about it in the break, but I thought it would be good to have it on the air. And the caller had to go, so hopefully he calls back in the next hour or on another day. But I want to continue with this theme, and I know we're up against a hard break, but we're just getting started here on the Andrew Gosser Show. The first hour is already in the can. We've had great callers, and that just goes to show you how much this show is having an impact here in Jackson locally and also around the United States with those people who tune in on the stream. But here's the next clip I want to play. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Let's try again one more time. If it doesn't go through, well, actually, let's just skip it. And we're going to start with this one right here.
Be online making threats talking about, yeah, go to work, yeah, do this, that, and the third, working 50 hours a week, why get benefits? And then you got the other somebody talking about, yeah, Trump not going to be around to see that we take it over. Let me tell you something right about now. All trash talking, you better hush your mouth. You want to know why? Because we are not playing no games.
And this guy, I've got many clips of him because he is going to lead us into the next hour because he's going to take us down a route talking about the military, talking about illegal immigration, talking about how it's affecting the Black community. And it's not fair. It's not right. But when you have people from community who trying to get housing and trying to get plugged into the system, and they can't because it's all being funneled to the legal aliens because of a bill that Ilhan Omar passed back in 2018, where she even said it took the guardrails off. I mean, we've got real big issues here. We've got really big issues here. And another reason that this is really important to me, and I did this on my show prep, this is coming from Defeat Democrats on Facebook. In the last 6 years, there's been an explosion of mosques in Germany. And if you look at this, and you know what? I'm going to put this on X. I haven't posted anything to X yet, but I'm going to put this on X. You absolutely have to see this post because you will see where all of these mosques have been built. And if you're old enough like me, you know that there used to be two Germanys, a East Germany and a West Germany. West Germany is completely flooded with mosques. East Germany is not. Why is that? Why is that? For all of Germany's screw ups, for all of Germany's problems that it has, they never had something like this happen in their country. And if we're not careful, it's going to happen here in the United States. And I'm just letting you know, despite what the liberals and academia want to tell you, we are a Christian nation. We follow those morals, rules, and codes. We don't believe in child marriage. We don't believe in beheading homosexuals and lesbians. We do believe in equal rights. Now, there'll be those on the left who say, oh, you're not telling the whole story. Yeah, that is the whole story. And when we get back, we're going to go delve deeper into this. We're going to break out Air Force doctrine. We're going to break out other sources of moral law, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9. Don't go anywhere. Top of the hour break. We'll be right back.
I knew about the Somali 20 years ago. I had my son 20 years ago.
Yes, yes, you are. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. Please, please, please get on X. X is a great place to find all sorts of information. And look, I'm not saying social media is the always accurate and always the best, but it's where it's unfiltered, and then you can make the determination of what you consume, not the mainstream media. Please give me a follow. It's just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. I'd appreciate that. The number, if you want to call in today, is 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879-5060. And we are here. The mission is standard. Equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of a wicked man conceals violence. And that's where we're at today. And before we get into continue with the clips, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has sponsored the radio show in 2025. And, as you know, I'm new to radio. In January, there is a big fall off. So I'm going out there and just making a plea to all of the listeners. If you own a business and you want to do some advertising and you want to see your company grow, just go ahead and shoot me an email. It's just andrew@wyab.com. Or you can text me at 601-879-5060. We'll get together, we'll have lunch, and we'll talk about how we can partner together to not only grow your business, but grow the radio station and grow your presence all across the WYAB greater listening area and all of our people who will hear about you on the stream. It's a win-win situation. So if you own a business and you'd like to go ahead and make that next step, go ahead and give me a call or give me a text at 601-879-5060. Or you can go ahead and email me. It's just Andrew@WYAB. And again, I am thankful and so grateful to all of the people who have sponsored the show. There was a clip that I was trying to play in the last segment, and it didn't quite work, but it's working now. So we're going to play it, and this is just going to absolutely blow you away. This gentleman is from Columbus, Ohio.
I knew about the Somali 20 years ago. I had my son 20 years ago. I went to go get Section 8. Drove down to the Section 8 office in Columbus, Ohio, and guess who the f*** I seen? All Somalis in the parking lot. They was there for 8 hours already. Had tents, vans parked. They had fucking tents. They had their vans parked in the parking lot and made tents.
And I could have never played this audio just a week ago. And my poor duck Donna, who sampled the duck sound, she's getting a workout. But if the Black community knew about this 20 years ago, why did we let it happen? Was it because we were afraid to call out people of the same ethnicity? Was it because we didn't think it was a big deal back then 20 years ago? I didn't know it was that long ago. And this guy doesn't look necessarily like he could be 40 years old, but I might be mistaken. I don't get it, but listen to this. Listen to this.
It's first come, first serve when you go to get help from the government, when you need aid, when you need financial aid. First come, first serve. You got to wait behind 100 Somalians to get. I'm American. I got to wait behind 100 Somalians to even get help. Then when you wait after all these, oh yeah, we don't got no more room left. We don't.
Is that true? I have to be truthful and say I've never applied for Section 8 housing or anything like that. So I don't know, but I'd like to be educated. I'd like to do research on this and to talk to people who've actually gone through the process. Is it happening here in Jackson? I don't know, but I do know it's happening in Seattle, Washington. I do know it's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I do know it's happening in Dearborn, Michigan, and I do know it's happening in Columbus, Ohio. These are just the facts.
We had 80 spots. Yeah, 100 Somalians got all in Section 8. I knew about this 20 years ago. I never did get the Section 8, and the government don't give. The federal government don't care. They corrupt.
And I just agree with that guy. The federal government is corrupted right now. They are so concerned and worried about themselves and not worried and concerned about the constituents that they were elected to serve. Who would vote for a bill that just allows trillions of dollars of fraud? I mean, you think about it, as much as 10%, maybe 15% of our national debt is fraud. That's money that's been stolen, and we're still paying interest on it. How do we collect this money back? I don't know. But I do know that this is not a black or white issue. This is not a left or right issue. This isn't a man versus woman issue. This is the American populace against the political class and their donors. And make no mistake about it, as we really start ripping into this, you are going to see, whether it be USAID or some of these other organizations, where they get millions and millions of dollars of kickbacks, and then they funnel it right back into the Democrats and the Republicans too. I'm not sure how the Republicans are getting their money, but there's been too many Republicans who have voted with the Democrats to get this stuff done, and they need to be held to account. We were talking with this clip of this other gentleman who was getting really fired up, and this is the crux of what I really wanted to focus on today.
And then at the same time, you're talking about taking over. That is a declaration of war. That is really a threat to national security.
That is the truth. When you hear about these Somalis and these, specifically the Islamists, doesn't have to be Somali. They can be from Yemen. They can be from Sudan. They can be from wherever. And if you think about this, this is where I really wanted to break in to some military knowledge that I have, and bring in some Sun Tzu, Art of War. So I'm getting this from the AFDD1, and granted, I am using the 2003 edition because that is kind of where I see the principles, and I can talk about them, about how they impact what we're doing. To supply an army, if you think about how war has been fought in the past, we've had to supply the troops beans and bullets and gasoline. The people who are here now don't have to worry about the beans or bullets. They don't have to worry about that. Why? Because they can just go to the local Kroger and shop and get what they want. They don't have to worry about getting ammunition. They have the supply chain right there. In the Air Force, we called it the logistics of it. You have to have a logistical way to do that. You know what the big logistical maneuver in all of this was? Opening up the borders and getting all these malcontents from all around the world flooding into the United States, predominantly through Mexico, but not completely. They had to utilize another Air Force principle, mass. They are massing in centers all around the United States. The four that we know about right now are Seattle, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Columbus, Ohio, and Dearborn, Michigan. But make no mistakes about this. This isn't communities. These are military bases of operation. They are command and control headquarters. And I know I'm kind of bouncing around the principles for all my military dudes who are sit there and understand it. But they do have a unity of command. Is it Ilhan Omar? No, she's just a foot soldier who's in Congress who got a bunch of legislation put through so that they can start funneling money back to, in this case, Somalia. What's to say there aren't other operations where their money's going to other places, whether that be Sudan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, it doesn't matter. They have a unity of command. They have an objective to, number one, plunder all the resources of the United States of America, the Treasury. And not only are we paying that money to the government that's supposed to be defending us, we're paying these people to live in our country, to take our money and then send it back to their people so that they can go ahead and build a bigger army. Their objective is simple. We played it on this radio station before. We had the cleric in New York saying Islam is coming. They want to dominate the United States. And people are like, yeah, well, New York's crashing. That's great. No, it's not. New York falling is not great. London falling is not great. Paris falling is not great. We're at a point to where the capitalism capital of the world is now being governed by a Muslim who called up the president of the United States to express his displeasure of capturing a narco-terrorist. Never mind, this narco-terrorist had a $25 million bounty put on him that at least went back through President Trump 17, that President Biden included, and I believe President Obama even had that bounty on him. They were just too weak to actually go after him. President Trump is not too weak. Offensive. The purpose of an offensive is to seize, retain, and exploit the initiative. They have definitely done this. They have exploited the initiative. They have exploited the American federal government. They have exploited the governments of Washington, Minnesota, Michigan, and Ohio. Notice this just isn't blue states. Ohio's a red state. How is that working out? If they can do it in Ohio, could they do it here in Mississippi? Mass, we talk about this. The purpose of mass is to concentrate efforts of combat power at its most advantageous place and at a time to achieve a decisive results. They are massing right now. They massed from the moment they opened up the border down south, and they could just flood in. I wish I could find the video. Sometimes when you're sitting here on the radio and you're going in a flow, you just see it. And I can remember watching this video of this Afghani, and he said, "You don't know who I am now, but you will know." And it haunted me. And it haunted me. The maneuver, the scheme of maneuver, we used to call it, places the enemy in a position of disadvantage. They have put us in a position of disadvantage, not just militarily, because if we expect the police and the FBI to go in there and clean out these havens of fraud and people who shouldn't be here because they don't love America, they didn't immigrate here because they wanted a better life. They came here, they immigrated to America to take our treasure away and send it back and help fund an enemy. But they put the government at a disadvantage because we're paying for it all now. Economy of force. This was always one of my favorite principles of war. You know what? We're going to hold this off. We're going to take our commercial break. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Yeah, you are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAV. We've got good vision. Do you've got good vision? If you don't, it might be time for you to go get a new pair of glasses, and there's no one better to go see than my man Bruce Bennett over at iGear Optical. They've been around for a while now, and they're local, and we love them because they provide a service that's not in a big box store where you get the attention that you deserve. They're located at 2610 Highway 80 in Pearl, right there locally here. You don't have to go ahead and talk to somebody online and worry about whether the prescription's going to be right. When you go to pick up your glasses from Bruce, he's going to make sure they fit right, they look good, they're everything that you wanted. You're going to be satisfied. They're open from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's iGear Optical in Pearl, Mississippi. Bruce, thanks for sponsoring the show, brother. I really appreciate it. Let's get back into this. We're talking about the economy of force. Think about this. With our invasion, or not invasion, but of our capture of Maduro in Venezuela, how much money did it cost to go get that? That was a lot of money. Carrier strike group probably cost $5 to $6 million a day to be deployed. It's not cheap. Between salaries, consumables, everything else, it's expensive. Now think about the Somalis who are here. What are they paying for their economy of force? They're actually making money. And when we go after them, we're going to have to employ the local police, the county sheriffs, the state troopers, all the different federal agencies that are going to have to go in there. They are making us bankrupt off the good intentions of the American people. Now, you might not think that you might not be for this, and you might say, hey, I've been against this all the time. It doesn't matter. The people have elected representatives and senators and presidents who enabled this. Security. This is the one place where the Somalis did a pretty poor job. They might have been acting secretly in the beginning, but now it's so evident. And I've got people sending me, they're taking out Craigslist ads in Minneapolis. And I did fact check this. There is a note that says that it might be fraudulent, but it's not. I actually got it saved in case of the future. But the absolute best tactic that these people are using is the element of surprise, because we're all now surprised that we're spending billions, if not trillions of dollars on this, and we're trying to claw it back. But the Republicans who are in control of the House and the Senate right now are voting to keep this operation going through their continuing resolution, because we don't pass budgets anymore. We pass CRs. It's terrible. And I could go on, but they are using advanced military principles here to come after us. But let's continue to see what this brother has to tell us.
And then at the same time, you're talking about taking over. That is a declaration of war. That is really a threat to national security.
Yep, and I played that one, but we just talked about it. It is a declaration of war. It is a national security threat. The Democrats don't think so. I can tell you that the communists and the socialists and many Democrats don't think. There are some Democrats who are like, look, this is a problem, but they're going to hold ranks like they always do. Maybe not. Maybe they go the other way.
Why? Because you are a foreigner. You are an immigrant in this country, really a refugee.
Let's play that one more time, and then we're going to really get into this.
Why? Because you are a foreigner. You are an immigrant in this country, really a refugee.
Yep. And, I love these people who come at me from a biblical worldview and love talking about how the law says that we're supposed to support the immigrant. But that's when you are actually following God's law. If you are not following God's law, you are cursed. And I can prove it. Just go to Deuteronomy 41. You shall father sons and daughters, but they shall not be yours, for they shall go into captivity. The cricket shall possess all of your trees and the fruit of your ground. We hear about it all the time. The Chinese buying up all the farmland, outside countries buying up all of our farmland, going ahead and making investments into our agriculture that are going to make it even harder for us to feed Americans. Why? Because we become dependent on cheap, poisoned food. And I'm not going to sit here today. I could bring on Jameson, I could bring on Mary Jo, and we can talk about how they're poisoning us through our food supply and why it's. If you don't have a garden plan for this year, you're going to be sorely mistaken. You're going to regret it, because if they're already closing down 60 Kroger stores and 9,000 jobs lost, can they do that again? Clay Edwards just had the video of the scuffle in the Clinton Kroger. That's where I go. That's where I go. But wait, there's more. The sojourner who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. Think about that, especially to our Black urban communities. These people are being put above you in your own land. They're being put above the white people. No one cares about the white people because that's just how our culture has evolved over the last 4 years. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying right now it's easy to pick on a white man or a white woman. Our education system is completely dumbed down our kids. We're kids, 6, 7-year-old babies being told that they're not good because they're white. It's absolutely diabolical. But I continue. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. Think about this. There are 189 countries in the world today, and the United States sends money to 178 of them. That's aid that we don't get paid back. People love to lend us money. They want to see us go into debt, but do we go ahead and hold the people accountable to the aid that we give them? Think about this. If there's an earthquake or a natural disaster anywhere around the world, what's always seen? United States Air Force C-5, C-17, C-130 flying in, delivering aid. Goodwill. We can't lend money to other people. Well, we don't even lend. We just give stuff away. We borrow against ourselves. We borrow money from banks of China, Russia, Saudi Arabia. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Doesn't it feel like that more and more, ladies and gentlemen? Doesn't it feel more and more like the United States is being pushed to the side? I know Trump is out there flexing in the Western Hemisphere, and we should. But when you think about Europe, they don't look at us the same way. Does the Middle East look at us the same way? Or have they always been, again, scheme of maneuver, tactics, trying to figure out the best way to get ahead of us? And people say, Andy, we're all humans. We're all trying to get the same way. We are, but we don't all have the same belief system. I mean, what really gets me is how people don't even take 10 minutes to go look at how the religion of Islam treats women and children. Mosques exploding everywhere. It should be scaring the heck out of you. I've got a 17-year-old daughter. I don't want her being subjected to that stuff. To me, when I look at this, again, Jameson always used to say biblical worldview. Well, here's a biblical worldview right there. And I am quite certain that many people have not heard Deuteronomy, the curses against Israel. And you should read it. You should educate yourself and read the Quran too. Andy, I don't believe in religion. That's great. But most of the people around the world do, whether that's Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, or any of the other religions. But let's continue with what this brother actually, you know what? We're going to take another break. And then when we get back, we're going to try to finish up what this guy has to say. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. we got to move quick. I love the bumper music, love everything that's going on there, but we've got this guy. He's on a roll, and this I think is the clip that is the penultimate clip right here.
And you over here running your mouth when you already are outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. You are not with the smoke, let me tell you. You do not want the smoke as a
I'm just going to say I don't want the smoke either. I don't want any of this to happen, but those of us who have been through this scenario understand where that's going to. And this guy is just talking about it, and he's really putting it together so well.
immigrant. You want to know why? Like I said before, we got guns in the black community, guns in the white community. It's veterans in the black community, veterans in the white community. Both communities know about war and know about guns. And let me tell you something. Even though we might have our differences, but if it comes down to us defending our country from anybody that's up there making a threat, let me tell you something. We will put all that aside and we will come together and defend.
Amen. I honestly believe that this could be the issue that starts bringing our two communities together after the political class has done everything it could over the last 70 years to rip us apart. Everything they've done over the last 70 years to rip us apart. And I've got a clip somewhere. I'm going to try to find it while we're talking about this, but when I talk to veterans, the first thing we say, where were you at? What service were you at? What ships were you on? Where were you deployed? It's not, oh, this is a black dude, or oh, this is a white dude, or oh, this is an Indian, or oh, this is an Asian, or oh, this is whatever nationality, fill in the blank right here. We're veterans, and there's a common theme there. And does it mean that all veterans think the same way? Nope. I've got some right or left-wing lunatics out there, and those that are crazy on the right too. Let's not get this all convoluted. There's enough craziness to go around for everybody. But so many of us who are in the middle, and that's who I'm trying to talk to today. That's who I'm trying to reach out to today. And we need to have this conversation. We've talked about One Voice Jackson, where they had all the Guatemalans getting driver's license, where we had all of them getting other documents to try to stay here. We had Senator Chisholm go get on the news media, talk about how they were trying to house people up north, turning red counties pink to purple to blue. It's not supposed to work like that, but we have to be vigilant. And it's why it's so critical. Not only do you stay up to date with current events, but you get to know your local community leaders. It's a lot easier to go to talk to your community leader when they're an alderman or the president of a county or of a town than it is to talk to your, say, congressman or senator. You could talk to a state senator really easy, especially if you're in that district. But this gets me really excited. I want to play this one more time.
Even though we might have our differences, but if it comes down to us defending our country from anybody that's up there making a threat, let me tell you something. We will put all that aside and we will come together and defend.
Black Twitter is on fire. And this is the last clip from him, and I want to play it, but I want to give him credit. And by the way, well, let me play this first.
Let me tell you something. Stop running your damn mouth. That's one of the main reasons why we want a lot of y'all immigrants out. Why? Because you are very hateful and very ungrateful, and I'm tired of your own hair running your damn mouth, talking this, that, and the third. I'm sick of y'all doing that, but then at the same time, you want to be waving the flag of your country, and you love your country so much. Why the hell are you here? You over here from another country that you did not fight or bleed to die for, did not build, and you running your mouth? You up there trying to make press? Let me tell you something. You better keep your mouth shut. We're not playing with y'all. You don't want smoke. On American soil, do you think it's a game? Hell.
And this goes on for another minute, and I'm just not going to play it. I'll upload all this. I got this from Benny Johnson, this guy. And I just want to give full credit whenever I get a source of this. I tried to find him on Instagram, but I do not have Instagram. Don't know how to use it. I use X. I use Facebook. I use Rumble and YouTube, and to a lesser extent TikTok. But to see this, to see this guy come out there and speak so much, what he was saying resonated with me so much. I know it resonated with a lot of you, and it's to the point to where we have nowhere else to run. If you look at the country Somalia, their GDP has grown exponentially. Could it be because they're getting all the money from the United States and they're just sinking it back into Somalia? It could be. I think it is. And we have nowhere else to run. We have to defend the homeland. I'm not saying to go up and form up a formation and start rolling into Dearborn tomorrow. No, but I do think we should, as citizen journalists, start going out there and asking hard questions. I think it's absolutely critical that we start doing that, and we can't depend on the local news outlets. I trust Magnolia's Tribune to a certain extent. Dark Horse Press, definitely good. Jackson Jambalaya. Sorry, Kingfish, I didn't even get to Jackson Jambalaya today. That just isn't going to happen. But this guy talked about what happened, what divided us. And for this, I got to go to this guy right here. And I'm pulling this from Mr. Red Pill on X, and I'm just going to play this because it's really interesting. Well, it's not interesting. It's the truth. It's just that no one wants to hear the truth. And when you hear the truth, you either are appreciative of it and it's like, yeah, that's my, or you're offended by it. There is no in between.
I'm not political, all right? I don't believe in Republican or Democrat because it's not in the Constitution. It's not in our Declaration of Independence. It's just American, one nation under God. Whatever they do as one. The trick is to give us the illusion that there is a choice, that there is a separation, to keep us fighting over these things. These things right here. Keep us not talking about the fact that we're working harder. 5 generations now. We're working harder than our great-great-great-grandparents and our grandparents did, who had no education, who sent their first generations to college. We were on our way somewhere, and then something happened in the 50s.
And I want to stop right there because when you talk to Zoomers, when you talk to millennials, when you talk to alphas, they talk about how hard it is to find a job, how hard it is to find work, how hard it is to get an apartment, let alone try to buy a house. Why is it that to buy a house, they're having to go to mom and dad to put that just down the down payment? Sometimes mom and dads are even sponsoring the mortgage note. What changed in America 50 years ago, like this brother talking about? And again, this isn't the white guy, although the white guy agrees. Man, when I had Black Twitter just blow up my feed, man, I just was like, oh, we've got to talk about this, especially here in Mississippi, where the entire country tries to say that we got all these problems, that we're the worst state in the nation. We're not. We have it good here. But we need to come together. And we've got to stop going to get this left versus right thing. It's the political class against the rest of us. I just happen to agree that I believe in individual liberty and freedom, which is more of what the political right would agree with than the political left. And if you don't agree with me, just go back to 2019 when COVID hit. And everybody who's talked about how bad COVID was and how the shot could be potentially bad, you were banned from the public square. Your First Amendment right was denied. It was the government who came in and had the secret access to Facebook, Meta, and X, then Twitter. But let's just hear what this brother has to say about why he thinks the divide happened.
One of the big things I think that happened is they took the Bible out of school. People don't know, a lot of you young people don't even know the Bible was curriculum. And I'm not religious once again, but the Bible gives us a strong moral code to live.
Isn't that the truth? And don't forget, in the Mississippi Constitution, it says that the Bible is supposed to be in the classroom. They're supposed to use it to teach from. It doesn't say anything about a Quran or anything else. It talks about the Bible. And yes, you know, that's the New Testament and the Old Testament. Isn't it funny how these young kids are waking up and finding their spirituality and realizing that what's been put into them, what's been programmed into them is wrong. Let's try to finish this guy up here.
Live by. We were family. We were community. We knew our neighbors. Our children played outside, met new friends. Those new friends wanted to spend the night, and they had to ask their parents, and their parents became friends. Today, mom's in the park on fentanyl, and we think they give us this propaganda about it comes from China, it comes from here. They didn't want this stuff in this country. It wouldn't be here. This is a weapon against us.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. These people are just absolutely nailing it out of the park. And just think, if we didn't have, again, these are local independent journalists. If we didn't have these local independent journalists out there talking about this, you would never hear this. You would never hear this. I honestly think the greatest thing to happen in the last 26 years, the first quarter of the 21st century, is Elon Musk buying X. Because if Elon Musk never bought X, we would be in trouble. Let's finish it up.
There is an attack on all of us, red, blue, conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. The American is under attack. Our dollar is buying a lot less. We're working a lot harder for it. We're losing our constitutional rights, whether you realize it or not, a lot through the technology that we're using today.
Yeah.
You know,
And he goes on to talk about their cell phone. And how many times have we talked about our anxiety devices and how it controls everything we do? Man, this show was just off the chain. I got to take my last commercial break of the show. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Now, we have members of the United States military that have been put in an impossible situation because they're given, in the case of what we've seen here over the last couple of days, clearly unlawful, illegal orders. And there's tremendous pressure on them. And that was the point, of our video, is just to remind, members of the military that they have an obligation to follow the law. It wasn't specific to this case. But when you consider who this Secretary of Defense is and who this president is, we felt it was a very important message to get to our warfighters. Now,
Wow, Mark Kelly just can't shut up, can he? My goodness. Terrible. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Look, people are asking who was the last person, where did I get that last video from? Actually, it was sent in from Brother Rick on X. He's at Rick M1776. And I've retweeted the video itself, but the account that said it is Mr. Red Pills, and it's just at JOKAQARMY1, all caps. You can find him there. And, we just need more people like that. And people are like, oh, well, that doesn't sound very professional, or that's not really how I see it. Look, the video is the video, but just so much is breaking. Mark Kelly, who we just talked about breaking, got just censured. What does he do? He jumps right on the radio and starts talking smack. You can't make this up.
Now, we have members of the United States military that have been put in an impossible situation because they're given, in the case of what we've seen here over the last couple of days, clearly unlawful, illegal orders. And there's tremendous pressure on them. And that was the point, of our video, is just to remind, members of the military that they have an obligation to follow the law. It wasn't specific to this case, but when you consider who this Secretary of Defense is and who this president is, we felt it was a very important message to get to our warfighters.
This guy is going to end up being court-martialed. It's going to be more than a censure, because he's now doubling down. It wasn't good enough to take a reduction in rate and reduction in your pay, retirement pay. Now you're doing this. Do you not think for 1 minute that the lawyers who are sitting there advising the Secretary of War, the President of the United States, the combatant commanders, you don't think that there's Judge Advocate General, JAGs, lawyers sitting there giving them advice on this? This is what puts the seed of doubt in snake eaters and troops' minds. When they've got something like this is not right. These guys are given all sorts of training on what to do. We briefed it up every mission that we had. You can't make this up. You cannot have these snake eaters and these troops going in there wondering, hey, is this mission illegal or not? When you get a lawful order, it has to be so blatantly obvious. Go kill all the women and children. That is a clear violation of the law. That is a clear example of an unlawful order. Going in to snatch and grab a president who's a narco-terrorist, who we've been negotiating with, try to get... Maduro could have taken the easy route out, but he didn't. He said he wanted to stay and fight. He fooled around. He found out. You've been listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. It's sure great to be back in 2026. We'll see you all again in about 22 hours. Take care, everybody. Be blessed.